Hey y'all. All right, so we are learning how to solve system of equations but word problems, all right? So recently we've been working on solving systems of equations. So we have all the things we need, and sorry, my voice is going away. We have all the tools we need in order to solve this because we've done word problems, done system of equations. Now we're just combining them together, okay? So my first step in solving a system of equation word problem is to read it and recognize it that it is a system of equations, okay? So I'm going to read this and underline the important information. So for her parents' anniversary party, Ashley is considering using one of two venues. All right, so okay, I'm comparing two things. I might have to use a system of equations. A hotel in Cedarburg will cost $787 for reservation. That seems like it's important. Plus $17 per person. That also seems like it's important. Remember, numbers are important. That per is also very important because remember, per means slope. A restaurant in the same city will cost $23 per person, in addition to $745 for the reservation. In order to make the best decision, Ashley figures out how many attendees it will take to have the venues cost the same amount. How many attendees would that be, and what would be the total cost? So there's two questions we have to answer in this situation, right? And remember, when you solve a system of equations, you get an x point and you get a y point. All right, we got to figure out, does x represent attendees or does it represent total cost? Okay? So step one is to make a T-chart with each side labeled. So I'm comparing two things. So two things I'm comparing are Cedarburg and this restaurant, right? So the Cedarburg Hotel, I know y'all gonna be like, Miss A, your hand stays in the way, and I don't know what to do about it, y'all. I really don't. So T-chart, Cedarburg, and then we have the restaurant. That's step one. So you should be writing this. T-chart. Immediately put y equals mx plus b under each side. Because I know I have to write an equation that looks like that. So I have to identify what the m and b for each side are and identify what x and y represent. Okay, so m, b, x, y. I got to know all this information. X, y. So this is step one. This part was step one. Okay. This part is step two, all of this. All right. So I got to figure out what is the M, what is the B, what does the X represent, what does the Y represent. So M and B are going to be numbers, okay? So I'm going to look for numbers that would represent Cedarburg. So I have, okay, if I look back, a hotel in Cedarburg will cost $785 for a reservation plus $17 per person. That per tells me that's going to be slope. Remember our words for slope and our words for y-intercept. Per, each, every, a, that's slope. So M here will be 17. So if M is 17, I know 787 is going to be B. It's like a starting point. And X and Y, you're telling me what they represent. So remember, the question asks for attendees and total cost. Y is usually a total. Okay, so Y is usually a total. X is going to be attendees. So if I go over here, X and Y, I know already it's not going to change. Attendees, so how many guests there are, and total. That's what attendees means. So now I got to figure out the M and the B. So if I go to the restaurant, a restaurant in the same city will cost $23 per person. Oh, per. That's M. 23. In addition to $745 for the reservation. So 745. All right. So she's trying to figure out, okay, how many people do I have to invite for these to cost the same? So I'm going to rewrite. So I'm going to go to step three. Rewrite the equations with the given information. So I'm plugging in for M and B at this point, okay? So Y equals, we said M was 17, so 17x, B is 787, plus 787. Cool. Over here, Y equals, M is 23. All right, X plus B. B is 745. All right, so that's step three. All right. Step four is solve the systems to find the point of intersection. So I have these two equations, right? And we learned several ways to do this. You can graph it, but then you have to create your own coordinates and your own points. You can use a calculator. So if I use a calculator, let's see what I would do. So remember, with a calculator, you click Y equals. I'm going to clear out what's already in there. And I'm going to type this equation in. So first one was 17x plus 787. So 17x plus 787. The second equation was 23x plus 245. So 23, that's the x point, y'all. X plus 745. Remember, I hit graph. And it's not showing me nothing. So if it doesn't show me anything, then I have to go to window and I have to change. And I see that my x value goes to 17. My y value, my biggest x value is 23 actually. And my biggest y value, or my biggest m, is 23. My biggest b is 787. Okay? So I have to change this to be bigger. So I'm going to say negative 50, 50. Keep the scale maybe by 5s. This is negative, let's say, 800, 800. I'm going to do the scale. Go by, let's say, 50. All right. So what I'm doing is I'm changing what my x-axis goes to and what my y-axis goes to. So my x-axis is going to go from negative 50 to 50, and each point is going to represent 5. My y minimum is going to go from negative 800 to 800. Because that's like kind of like my B, right? It's my starting point, y-intercept. And we know the biggest B is 787. So I'm going to go from negative 800 to 800 and the scale by 50. And let's see if it pops up now. Now it's popping up. Cool. Now I got to get that point of intersection. So let's see. Second, trace 5, enter, enter, enter. 7 and 906. So with the calculator, I got 7,906 as my answer for when I set these system of equations equal to each other, right? If the calculator method does not work for you, remember, you can always do 17x plus 787 equals 23x plus 745. And you could do the box method. Variables, constants. Variables on one side, constants on the other. We have 2 variables, break that in half. 2 constants, break that in half. First variable, 17x. Done with that. Second one is 23x. We got to flip it because remember, we want variables on the left. Constants, 787 is on the left. We want it on the right. So sign changes. 745 stays the same. Then we add 17 plus negative 23 is negative 6x. Negative 787 plus 745 is negative 42. Divide by negative 6 on both sides, and you get x equals 7, which is what we got here, right? Our x value is 7 with the calculator, so we're good. And then we have to plug this back in to one of the 2 equations. Doesn't matter which one. Let's use the first one. So if we use the first one, we got to put this in here. So y equals 17. Instead of writing x, we put 7 in parentheses plus 787. 17 times 7 is 119. So y equals 119 plus 787. Don't forget to do that. I did 17 times 7, got 119. Still got to add the 787. So 119 plus 787 is 906, which is exactly what we got here when we did it in our calculator. That's crazy. So I need to know, okay, step 5 is answer the question. Did you solve for x, y, or both? We solved for both, right? So I have to make clear what does 7 represent and what does 906 represent. Remember, up here we said x was attendees and y was the total. So 7 attendees with $906 as the total, right? So at both of these venues, if I have 7 attendees, I'm going to pay $906, no matter if I chose Cedarburg Hotel or if I chose the restaurant, right? And then it'll switch from that point on. So that's done. Now I want you to do example 2 on your own, but I'm going to do it, but I want you to pause the video, try it on your own, then watch the video to see if you got it, okay? Cool. So Abby and her sister Laura are making baby blankets to sell at a boutique. Abby has already completed 5 blankets and can finish 4 more blankets per day. Per, that's important. You should have underlined that. Remember, you should have paused the video, attempted it on your own, and then came back. Laura has already completed 10 blankets and can finish 3 more blankets per day. Cool. At some point, they will have completed the same number of blankets. How long will it take? So, step 1, make a T-chart with each side labeled. All right? So, we have 2 people. We have Abby, we have Laura. That's the things we're comparing, right? Abby, Laura. Immediately write y equals mx plus b. All right. I got to identify m, b, x, and y for each. So m, b, x, y. M, b, x, y. Put in my equal signs. All right, let's go to Abby. Abby has already completed 5 blankets and can finish 4 more blankets per day. 4 more per day tells me that that's my M. 4. So 5 blankets is how much she already has completed. That's the starting point. That's B. We got to figure out what X and Y mean. All right, we have how many blankets they completed and the time it'll take. So if it's the total number of blankets, we said Y represents the total, right? So Y will be number of blankets. And X will be number of days. And you can know that because per day, anything that comes after per is going to be what the X represents. So per day, like in the previous problem, it said per person, which was like person was an attendee and we knew X was attendees. So per whatever is going to be what X represents. So X here is going to be days. So I'm going to write the same thing here. Days, number of blankets. All right. So M, let's figure it out for Laura. Laura has already completed 10 blankets and can finish 3 more blankets per day. So that 3 tells me that's my M. That means 10 is B. It's her starting. She has already completed 10 blankets. That's her starting point when we are comparing them. So now I'm going to rewrite my equations given the information. So Y equals M is 4, 4X plus B is 5. Over here, Y equals M is 3, X plus B is 10. Now I have to solve it. So I can solve it with my calculator. If you changed your calculator, like if you went to window and you had changed this information, if you want to like start your calculator from scratch, here's a way to do it. You click second, okay? Then you click this plus sign right here, the plus sign. And then just click 7, 1, 2, and it'll say RAM cleared. And clear that. So that means it's cleared. Now it's back to the original settings, okay? So I'll go to my calculator. Y equals 4x plus 5 is the first. So 4x plus 5, and then 3x plus 10. 3x plus 10. Cool. Graph it. There we go, there we go, there we go. Oh, I can't see all the way up there. So I might have to change my window. My Y window, right? X seemed fine, but the Y, I should probably try negative 50 and 50 and see how that works. You see how it got thicker? That's because I went by 1. Now I'm going to click stat. No, I'm going to click second, trace, 5 for intersect, enter, enter, enter. 525 is my intersection. 525. Okay. That was my intersection point. So we got to go back to what the question asks, right? It says, how long will that take? So what number represents how long it takes? The 5 or the 25? Remember, 5 is X. Y is 25. How long will it take? X represents days, so 5. 5 days. For them to make the same amount of blankets, have the same amount completed, right? So in 5 days, Abby and Laura will have the same amount of blankets completed, and that'll be 25 blankets. All right, you're on your own now.